Lone Mountain Leasing, how it works, all the details how to actually take advantage of this program, a step-by-step play on how you can get this done for yourself.
Yes, because I think that's going to be a good information, because a lot of people overthink about it and overcomplicate it, and actually it's not that complicated.
Right. So here we go. All right. So one of the biggest things that you're going to want to do is always go to their inventory and check out what they actually have. Some guys, for those who think that sometimes they're going to give you financing and then you can go pick your truck wherever you want. That's not the case. You're limited to their inventory, but they actually have pretty good products. So it's not it's not that it's bad or anything like that. It's just some guys think like, hey man, give me the money, I'm gonna go buy a Volvo. No, if they don't have a Volvo on their fleet at the moment, then there's no Volvos available at the time. Okay. All right. So number one, you're going to apply with them, and actually you're going to have to get approved. Yes, they are going to be credit based. From what I have understood and what I've seen in plenty of the guys that have applied, I think bankruptcy and a repo is going to, within the last 5 years, is going to knock you out the box right away. It's going to be very tough to get past any of those two things. And when you're looking at that down payment, guys, you're going to see, for example, let's take this 2019 International LT, $3,200, right? That's the down payment to get into that bad boy. They're going to want to see in your bank funds that you have at least 6. There's going to be that, because they want to make sure there's enough money in there for fuel to port this truck home, because you might be picking it up in Georgia, Texas, whatever it is. They want to make sure there's enough cushion there to get the insurance. So they want to see a little bit more than just that down payment inside that bank account. Last time I checked, it was for 60 days. It might be down to 30 or whatever the situation is, but they want to make sure it's been sitting there for no less than 30 days. You're not going to, can't just magically appear last week, because obviously if you borrowed the money, then the bank is going to consider that new loan as a, income to debt ratio for you. So they're going to definitely look at that. So once you get approved, they're going to ask you for a haul source. That's where the carrier comes in. What that means is you want to get to a carrier that gives you a letter of intent, and that means that they're going to hire you. They're going to want to know a little bit about how much you're potentially going to make. Are you going to be over the road? What kind of miles? Is it solo? Is it teams? So they're going to ask you a couple of these questions. It's not to get you frustrated. Remember, it's the bank wanting to know what your business plan is. So they're not just going to release funds. They want to make sure that you have a place to go. I've mentioned in several other videos, but just one more time, I've seen a guy with an 800 credit score not get approved. And the reason that happened was because this guy was a fleet owner and he didn't have a CDL. And, he let them know, hey, I'm looking to get 2 trucks or 1 truck, put a driver in it and keep going. And the reason they denied him is because they know that it's too much of a risk for them to release funds for that type of business plan.
Was he an existing fleet owner, or he was trying to become a fleet owner?
Nah, he was just jumping into it. So no experience in the business.
So generally speaking, that's going to be a big problem anywhere you go. It's not just Lone Mountain. It's everybody. It's aero truck sales. It's any truck dealership. If you don't have a CDL and bare minimum of experience, your chances of being approved, unless you get some sort of personal loan or something like not necessarily truck related or like third party, the dealer is always going to have a very, very difficult time approving you, because their track record is just not very good.
Right. Yep. So you have that to consider, guys. So once you go to pick up this truck, even though you're gonna get that letter of intent, sometimes they want a verbal. They'll actually call the carrier and say, hey, this person, XYZ, we just want to confirm that they're okay to onboard and all that good stuff. So that's gonna happen as well. And when you get to the point to picking up the truck, basically what's gonna happen up there is you're going to get a temp tag. That temp tag is not to work. It's just to port this truck over. So you're gonna have to bobtail home. This is also why they wanted to make sure you have more funds than the $3,200. They want to make sure you got enough that fuel money to get home. And at the point of picking up your truck is when I would suggest to get your insurance, because you could bond insurance in one day, a few hours. That's not a big deal. And the reason I say that is because if you do get a policy prior to getting there, what if you get there and that VIN number that you elected over the internet, you just want to make a slight change and perhaps you're like, give me that one instead of that one. I think it kind of complicates that situation a little bit there. Remember, you also have the ability to get a truck inspection, so an annual DOT, and they do allow you to get a dyno on the truck. Out of all the guys that I've onboarded, one guy I know did a dyno. I don't know, how important is that dyno? You ever get that done to any of your trucks?
I have, but
Was it specific because something was going on and you needed?
no, that was my first truck.
So it's kind of like the same where someone's like, "Hey, I got this." They said it looks good, and then you didn't really know what the deal was.
Yeah, you're just like you can't be extra, too careful. It's always helpful. There's gonna be one lemon somewhere.
Yeah.
So you never know. But for the most part, man, those trucks with those type of mileages, most of these trucks were under 500,000 miles. Some of them like high 3s to high 4s. We're gonna hold up. We're good for at least proper maintenance. At least another 250,000 miles, or probably more than that. But that's just a safe line to push.
Okay, so here we go. So getting back on track, you got to port this truck back to your home state or the carrier, wherever you're going to go at that point. You have to make a decision about the plate. Either you're going to get it on your own, or the carrier is going to give you the plate. So remember, it's going to be a little bit different for you as far as the process goes, because the title will not be in your name. It's going to be in Lone Mountain's name. What ties you to that is going to be that lease to purchase you have with them. So you're going to have the lease to purchase, a copy of the title, and then you're going to give that to your carrier with the 2290 so that they can get you the plate. Or if you're getting it on your own, it's going to be the lease to purchase, the title, the lease that you're leasing onto the carrier, and all that combined is what you're going to give to the IRP office in order to get your plate. So those are the basic two routes you can go with something like that. That's totally up to you. It just the only thing there I would say is if you are going to get your own, make sure you let your rep know, because sometimes the lien holder has to give a letter of release for that to happen, and you don't want to get caught up waiting 2 weeks for that to generate. So you rather tell them at the beginning of your journey or your process here, in order for them to get that to you in a timely fashion, and you're not stuck without a plate somewhere.
I would also suggest, if this is the first truck that you're buying and you're new to this, instead of, I would say, especially right now with some complications with Florida IRP, I would say jump on the carrier's plate program. That's going to give you a couple of other options. First of all, the state is not going to give you plates on the payment plan. You have to pay hard cash up front. So that's going to be a lot of money out of your pocket. You just bought this truck, and that may be perfectly good truck and ready to roll and make money, but the trucks break. And sometimes it's a small breakdown. It's not a big deal, but it can be, $500 here, $1,000 there. I think for a startup owner-operator, you're a lot better off having an extra $2,000 in your pocket on the road with a carrier plate program than spending the last $2,000 on your plate.
Yeah, because things change, and so that's what I'm saying. So as you're making this business decision, it's not just, I agree, it's not just the $2,000 in your bank account, but given the temperature of it taking about 2 weeks and they're behind in that delay, that's 2 weeks of lost revenue, right? On something so you're talking a potential easy off the bat, 12 grand. So because of that lost revenue, because of the delay in itself, yeah, for sure. Just jump on that carrier plate. You're in a race to get that truck moving and getting under your first load. I think that's so monumental not to lose the momentum of your startup.
You always want to get money coming to your bank account before we must leave your bank account. So it's always the race.
Yeah.
You're always racing. So ideally, you obviously want to have a carrier already lined up before you even apply for a Lone Mountain truck, in my opinion. And then schedule everything back to back. So literally, you can get that truck on Monday. You can be at the orientation with a carrier on Tuesday, hitting the road on Wednesday.
Yep.
Because bringing that truck home and spending 2 weeks, let's say you get 45 days before your first payment. If you spend 2 weeks, working out the plate and everything else, or looking for a carrier, and sometimes it may be even more than 2 weeks, now you're about, you cut the distance to your first payment in half.
Yeah.
And you're not giving yourself that advantage which you really, really, really need, because you want to start making money as soon as possible, because at some point, very soon, you're going to have to maintain that truck. You're going to have to be spending money on that truck, because that's your business, that's your livelihood. So just getting into the race as quickly as you can and staying in the race is very important.
Yep, keep that mentality to just keep that going because most of the guys, every single guy that has come through here is probably brought the truck actually from Texas or Georgia and has parked it in the yard, met us the next day, and hit the ground running as quick as he can.
Yeah.
So I think that should be that winning formula. Again, guys, we're not paid by Lone Mountain, nothing like that. It's actually just a pretty good program that we have seen success in for guys because everything else that's out there, be careful with those guys that offer carriers, especially that are offering the lease to purchase. Those payments could be astronomical. How do you, I see it all the time, man. Well, guaranteed gross, this amount. And yeah, but you're paying $1,500-$1,600 a week for one of those trucks.
And also, guaranteed gross is only guaranteed if you guarantee that you are going to stay on the road hustling and running. Nobody is going to guarantee you anything unless you actually put in the work.
Yeah, because if your truck breaks down, ain't not guaranteed, right?
So, and also I think it's not necessarily coming from a bad place, but a lot of carrier-based leasing programs, if you're already going a leasing route, which currently I think this program that we're talking about is extremely, extremely competitive because, your standard dealer is probably not going to get you into the similar truck for such a low down payment.
Right.
I think the cost of entry is very, very low, and the payments are priced so reasonably because a lot of carriers, we're gonna, just like Christian said, charge you anywhere from like $800 to all the way to $1,500-$1,600 a week for that truck. We're gonna make it super easy for you to get in, like zero down, all that good stuff. But at what cost is that gonna come? I think you're so much better off actually putting a down payment, which is like, let's say, for this specific truck, again, International LT, $3,200 down, and it's $1,099 a month. You better off saving a little bit more money and getting yourself this, and then you can plan, because $1,099 a month is very, very easy to make. It's very predictable. It's very simple. A lot of carriers, we have it so aggressive because the turnover rate is insane. We get to go and pick those trucks abandoned all over the place. Those trucks are going through tens or if sometimes, I don't know, maybe even hundreds of hands because the turnover rate is like, 2-3 weeks per truck, per person.
Yeah.
And then it costs a lot of money to recover those trucks, to repair those trucks, to get them back to the shape to where it's at least reasonable to lease out to somebody else. That costs so much money that we simply cannot be doing it for any less. And this is why we're extremely not competitive. So the only tool we really have to get you into those trucks, because again, a lot of carriers, we start leasing trucks, not because we're in the leasing business, because we cannot fill the trucks with the drivers.
Yeah, and then it becomes that vicious cycle too, because I've taken plenty of phone calls where guys are in those situations and, it's not that he's making money that he's staying there, but the fear of loss, because some guys are like, man, but I already got like 32,000 into this truck, and to walk away from 32,000 that you put into this truck, he's trying to write it out. And then, but you still got a year and a half, let's say, left, and man, that's a lot of.
But if that's drowning you, like I don't know how that can be beneficial. I've been in the situations myself to where I had to take a big loss right now, but then I was able to stay in business and carry on.
Oh, here we go. Welcome to business entrepreneurship.
And if I would try to push all the way to the end for whatever the amount of money I think I'm about to lose, I would probably be out of business, because like sometimes you have to lose a little bit to win in the long term. So I think, I think the carrier-based lease programs, we give some bad name to the leasing process. And we see all the time people, making comments about like lease purchase programs. But I don't think this is any different than your like normal buy truck from dealership type of lease. It's not very complicated, and the pricing is set up for your success. So I think you gotta look at this a little bit different, because again, all those horror stories that a lot of us hear about leasing.
All right.
We come from just very bad situations that everybody puts themselves into. First, the carrier gets too many trucks that they can fill. then we have a problem to solve because we own the bank more money than these trucks are worth. Because we have no drivers, let's do the leasing program. We start leasing those trucks. If we're gonna start asking for a down payment, because a lot of carrier leasing programs, you cannot move a truck from company to company.
Most of them won't let you do that.
Yes. So because of that situation, you're gonna be in the position to where you just stuck with that carrier, and now you're pretty much doomed because you better off just getting a standard lease, jumping on the road. You're able to switch a carrier, and you don't have to pay for other people's mistakes because you don't have to pay for all the turnover on the trucks. You don't have to pay for all the recoveries, for all the repairs, for all the conditioning of a truck. And the carrier is not doing that because we want to get bloody rich. And I'm not defending the carriers. I'm just saying the reality of math.
Right, yeah.
We do that because we have no other options.
Yeah.
We're stuck. We are in just as bad situation as somebody who jumps in. And because we have to be competitive between each other, we have to offer you that 0 down, sign today, start today type of thing. And it becomes a death trap.
Yeah, and even if they, if you are going that route and you're asking them, can I move this truck around? I've seen it as well. I think they have to tell you yes, because if it's at least a purchase. But what changes in the fine print? Does your payment change? Because I'm sure there's going to be an adjustment. You're going to get a premium rate because you're with the carrier. If you're stepping outside of that carrier, are you now in the interest rates of like credit cards? So does it become completely unfeasible and there's no way that it's even possible to maintain that truck?
Yeah, because the extra risk is going to cost money. So the carrier is not getting that truck for free. We're paying the premium already. So if we have at least a little bit control over our equipment, it can be one thing. It's still going to be very aggressive. But if we got to let that truck go off their fleet and now we have like absolutely no control over anything, man, like we want to make sure we get paid the max amount that we can push, because otherwise it's just going to be upside down very, very quickly.
Yep, there you go. So there you have it, guys. The play-by-play. Remember, number one, get that carrier, just lock down that letter of intent, have a home, know where you're going to go, apply with Lone Mountain, get approved them, go pick that truck out, get the insurance plate out of the way, and hurry up and go get under the first load.
Yes, and if you guys looking for getting a little bit more hands-on help on qualifying for a truck, come visit us. We do help people to get into Lone Mountain trucks all the time. Again, we're not associated with Lone Mountain. We're not paid by Lone Mountain. We don't work for them. We're just a trucking company based out of Mulberry, Florida, right here near Lakeland. And we do help people all the time to go through the process, to submit their applications. We got pretty solid contacts at Lone Mountain to speed up the process, to make it as smooth as possible. Christian does it all the time. So we help probably at least 30 people this year alone to get through the process, to get the truck and start their own trucking business.
All right, guys, be safe, drive safe. Until next time.
Take care, guys.